9.
Yeah, I was just reading some late thing.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? I do not like it when it's square.
You're all blurry.
I am?
Yes.
You're not blurry to me, and I'm not blurry to me. So.
Oh, really?
Sounds like you problem.
Hey, you know. You're like that last week, too.
Media. No, style. Here we go. I think that was 2 weeks ago. I think.
Chad, she blurry. Would I lie?
Face is blurry. I don't need it to be that. Okay, let's go back to closer. That seems egregiously annoying. Trying to find my... Okay, that's fine. And now I want...
Oh.
Okay. And then
we're going back to rectangles.
It was weird with just
circles. Yeah, I know. I was never a fan of that. I told you that.
Yeah. You said that you weren't a fan of the small square.
Oh, it was a circle, I think. Don't put words in my mouth.
I'll do what I freaking want.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry. I need to mute my phone. Sorry, guys. This is my fault. I'm frazzled. Yeah. I was on a phone call and a little late. Yeah. Not as late as this motherfucker, though.
I didn't think to check Discord out on Twitter.
Sounds like
what did you say at the bottom? Just off screen and footage of world events?
Yep. I'm always just off camera.
Okay. Is Gal blurry to you, Kratos?
No more than usual.
See? I say it goes on. It sounds like just a you.
I mean, I'm not blurry to me, so... But it looks like I am blurry to the stream. My apologies, everybody. You don't need to see me anyway. But welcome. Hi. How's it going, Dom?
All right. Yeah, happy to be back again. discuss another book with you. It's like I don't know how many we have done now. You know.
I refuse to count. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah. Let's go 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think the first one was the John Carter book, right?
Yeah, that's the first one we did with you.
That one was good.
Nice. How are you doing, Kratos?
Doing good. I'm excited to talk about my favorite book.
I'm sure. I debated on being a total evil person and being like, nah, you're not allowed on.
Yeah, except the problem is that I agree with you instead of Dom over the best character in the book. So,
well,
best character.
We need a dog.
Bound to happen.
John Hammond. I was thinking of like dressing up as him or something like that for the stream.
That would have been kind of funny. He reminds me of Colonel Sanders.
I mean, he was like,
that's just what I would have called you.
It's weird how his character, like, you would have never, after seeing the movie, you would never think his character would be like that.
Right, because you have, we'll get to it. I'm going to say hi to chat first.
Oops.
What's up, Legatus? How's it going? Always here first.
Legatus. Cyborg.
Hi, Kel. Kel, do you want on, or are you still working and driving and stuff?
Creative.
Brazilian steakhouse, all you can eat dino meat. In response to Kel, I see. Very well. What's up, gas station burrito? How's it going? Welcome. And I saw Sam.
Oh, yes.
Sam, why are you not here?
He's probably working. I did not give him enough time to see if he wanted.
I think he's waiting for the next Shirley Jackson book to come on.
Yeah, that's definitely it.
I've decided to dress up for the stream.
Dodger Blue.
Avatar up.
Dodger Blue. Fuck the Dodgers.
Something we can agree on.
Yes. I mean, well, you didn't get beat in the World Series by them.
They stole Mookie, sort of. We gave them Mookie because our front office doesn't know how to do shit anymore.
They're cheap.
Yeah. And yeah, I kind of figured you were still working, Kel.
There we go.
Oh, wow.
Cosplaying.
Cool.
I like it.
Because, of course, there's a Kratosaurus.
Yeah, and I came in theme too.
I saw that. Nice touch, guys.
I looked up T-Rex Kratos, and this is what came up. It's perfect. Oh, wait. I might have found a better one.
Oh, God.
You gronked that? Not Gronk.
No, I just Google.
Google.
Yeah. This one looks like it's Grok, though. Continue.
Anyway, yeah, I guess we can just start getting into it.
How's this working again?
How does what work? We just talk about the freaking book, man. I'm not gonna be a fucking school marm. Like, nah. Give me your overall thoughts, guys. On the book.
Go you first, Kratos.
I've said in the past it's like 80% similar to the movie. I think it's a really good adaptation. The book has a lot more detail that the movie doesn't have time to get into for pacing reasons, and I think that's fine overall. But all those little details tell kind of a more cohesive story, and the movie, it had a little bit of it in it, but then it didn't deliver on there was no resolution to a couple of things in the plot. So you can't just have a dinosaur movie without a giant pile of poop, so I get why they put it in there.
It's true.
But yeah, I think for anybody who likes the movie, you'll like the book even more. And because it just fills in all the gaps on a lot of little things. So, and the characters are some of them better, some of them worse, but I think
it's interesting the choices that they made for some of them.
Yeah, definitely. Gennaro is better because in the movie he's merged with Ed Regis.
Yeah. Which he's probably my least favorite from the book.
Yeah.
Ed. He was useless.
He really is just all the worst qualities of movie Gennaro.
Yeah.
Just completely, shirking responsibility and just not wanting to take accountability. I know Dom's favorite character. Who's your favorite character, Dom?
John Hammond.
But what do you think of the overall picture, like between the book, the movie?
Hammond's right.
That's your overall thoughts?
I
All
see
right,
it.
cool.
Are you going to me? Oh shit! Sorry.
Yes, you dork.
Oh fuck! Sorry. What do I overall think about it? Going into it, I kind of got this book going in your poll. Let's put it that way. And
thank you. You like this one better?
I was so excited, going into it, and I think it lived up to the expectations for me. Definitely did. And at first, I was kind of eerie, with the whole T-Rex thing. But as the story progressed, there was more detail with the what's his name, Grant, with the kids and their journey. I love that, like all that.
Yeah, there's a lot more there.
Oh yeah, I love all that. What else? Yeah, like you said, there's more detail to describing what's going on, like behind the scenes and stuff like that, with different things.
What was the part that you said that you were really enjoying because you had to get caught up on it because you missed the stream?
I don't remember.
Was it when the Raptors got loose? I don't remember which one that.
I don't remember. Ah, shit. But yeah, no, I remember that. Fuck. Yeah, but you said, like, the difference between the characters, like, some are good, some are bad, and I going into it, I was wondering, like, how were the kids going to be just as annoying? And Tim wasn't. Tim was a cool character. I feel like they did better. He's better in the book. Much better.
I think Lex's entire purpose in the book was to get other people killed and cause near-death situations.
He was just a fucking pain in the ass.
Which I can understand them making the change that they did. So kind of what Sam's saying here, with they made her older in the computer whiz because otherwise she's a stupid and shallow character, because she is, because she's just a little girl, and that's not going to translate well to the screen, honestly. Like, she's just going to be a pain in the ass the whole time and just serve that purpose. So I can understand why they gave certain qualities to her, but I mean, she doesn't like it.
She doesn't have to be a protagonist. She can be an antagonist and just cause the chaos to happen.
Yeah.
So the amount of times she said in the book, she goes, "Come on, Timmy, come on, Timmy." God.
This is a good point, Kel.
Yes. Maybe that's why she was included. Because anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
One thing I know we're like, this is jumping way ahead in the story, but because I don't think we're gonna get to it. One thing I was confused about when they go to that pterodactyl thing, and like they're attacking. Yeah, they're attacking them, and like they take Lex's baseball glove and then just take off, and that's it. Like, they really thought that was food. Like, was that the theory behind that? I don't know if you guys remember that.
I don't know if they thought it was food or if because they're just really territorial, so maybe they thought it was like
taking something of the intruders for themselves.
Or maybe they thought it was part of her body.
I thought they could have done. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't a big fan of that. I thought they could have done a better ending for that, just to take the baseball glove and that's it.
So if you think about it, what's leather made from?
Dermy skin.
Leather's made of
cowhide. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a type of skin. So the scent to it could seem like it's food for them because it is cowhide. Yeah. Now it does have a bunch of chemicals on it for like the finish and the resin and everything, whatever. But it's not like they've been around everything there is in the new modern world to know what it is. So to them, it could have technically been some type of food possibility.
I knew you'd find a way to turn this into a baseball topic.
Oh yeah. Like I said, watching the movie, they made some changes. Too bad they could have made Lex a Yankee fan. Maybe I would have liked her more. Because they mentioned she's a Mets fan.
Of the characters you like, it's not like that would be off the mark just in general. So
So,
yeah.
so you think that Hammond was right? And
I mean, that was that was just on like
He's just
the,
being
like,
a pest.
that was just like a joke I was just kind of
Okay.
doing. I do think, yeah, obviously he's a fucking asshole. Obviously.
But okay, but he makes a couple of good points, but they can be refuted because he tries to blame everything on Wu and Arnold, and
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm blanking on the hunter dude's
Muldoon?
name. Muldoon. Yep.
Muldoon.
He tries to blame them for a bunch of stuff, but like if you take it a step further, he's the reason why Muldoon couldn't have the weapons that he wanted, so that he could get control of the dinosaurs if needed. And then he was like standing in between Wu and Wu wanting to make the dinosaurs more docile. Yeah, there was also the big thing about like they didn't know 100% if the dinosaurs couldn't breed because they weren't allowed to dissect them.
Right.
That was another thing that Hammond stopped them from doing.
Yeah.
It's so nonsensical too.
Yeah, and you might be able to make the case that it was Arnold's fault for not catching the thing about, the dinosaur count. But there were so many computer issues, like it makes sense
to focus on like that when it's supposed to be working. I could see why it was something that might get ignored for the time being because there's they have all the problems of a zoo and a theme park, and trying to balance all of that together. I could prioritizing those things would definitely take place. And that kind of shows like why you shouldn't freaking cut corners in something of this nature. Yeah. And he just didn't have an understanding of what he wanted to do. He was just seeing the dollar signs
and part of that too, which Nedry kind of talked about, was like they weren't given a full picture of what the system design was supposed to be. They had to design it piecemeal and kind of like secret code and everything.
Yeah.
Under India.
I did appreciate that they gave more information in the book about like Nedry's background and everything. He wasn't his son in the book, right? That was never a thing, at least in the first book.
He's not his son in the movie either. That was just a joke line.
Well, okay, because I always just thought he was his dad, because that's totally a dynamic that is believable.
I mean, it could be, but yeah, him saying like, "Okay, Dad," that was like him saying sarcastically, it's like you're talking to me like you're my dad kind of thing.
The reason that I took it for a fact is because that he reminds me a lot of a brother that I have that would have all of those issues and call him by name, his actual dad, and then when saying a snarky comment, he would say dad.
Hashtag Team Cripple.
You
Not
make
that brother.
You do make a good point, because there's clearly some other history between them in the book that they don't really talk about. Yeah. There's that whole argument they have about like financial responsibility or something.
Yeah.
Which, if he was his son, it's definitely something he would say. But like, I mean, his last name is different, so I don't know why.
It could be like a broken marriage situation.
That too. I like this headcanon. I don't see any reason why it can't be true.
Well,
I want to go back. One of the
There's no proof for or against it.
One of the dickish thing Hammond did, when the T-Rex is out going about, like he's ordering Muldoon just to go out there, like you saw with the lack of weapons and shit like that. Yeah, just go get it. It's like, are you fucking crazy?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, because he doesn't understand.
Yeah.
He refuses to understand. He just wants to be the one that oversees everything with zero understanding of the minutia, the details. Like he just wants the first iteration type of knowledge on it, right?
And and good on Muldoon for standing up and being like, "No, I don't think so. There's no way I'm going out there."
Yes, absolutely. He's just like, "No, you go fucking do it if you think it's so goddamn important without weapons." Like, I'm not doing that shit.
And then he was standing around while they were clearing that other dinosaur and tranquilizing it and trying to like backseat drive on that.
But he was all like, "Oh, be careful, be careful!" Like shut.
Yeah. And the vet is like, "I know these dinosaurs. Just get off my case."
Well, and I also liked when he tranks the T-Rex. Yeah. I liked the dynamic between him and Gennaro, because it was very much like how dudes act towards each other, no matter like what time of day it is, whatever situation it is. They're giving each other shit and saying, nah, man, I really don't think you hit it. And he's like, no, I hit it. Like shit like that. And like, he's just like, would you drive properly so I can actually do this? Like that type of dynamic was great. And it's why I'm so annoyed at how shit of a character Gennaro is in the goddamn movie. Like, it is so egregious.
Gennaro and Muldoon had this really cool thing going on where Muldoon's like, you ready to live dangerously? And at first he's like, no, I don't think so. But then he mans up and Gennaro goes with him. And then they call it back later too.
Mm-hmm. And like
with the rocket launcher.
And then he like shows his weakness with like going through the hole to get to the nest and everything. Like this isn't his world. He's not a tracker. Like when Muldoon was using the footprints to figure out what might have happened. Like, he's a city boy, but he's also like, I think he's a grandfather.
I think just dad,
or just
because
dad.
it was he was saying like it was his daughter's like 8th birthday or something.
Okay, yeah. So like it still had that like he still has those characteristics of like, okay, I'm in a life or death situation and I need to live to see my family and keep my family taken care of type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So that and he doesn't have any depth whatsoever as a character in the movie.
Yep.
It's so
going back to that scene. I wish they had that scene in the movie, but Kratos, you said they technically have that in the second one, right?
The one where he was shooting the T-Rex?
The rocket launcher scene, yeah.
Well, not, the rocket launcher I was talking about when they were using it on the Raptors.
Well, doing and when he shoots at you said that's in the second one, technically. Yeah,
so there's definitely a version of that in the second movie with there's the bald dude that's in the second movie. There's a whole scene where he tries shooting it with his shotgun, but then like the other character had taken the shotgun shells out beforehand, and so he switched to the trank, and he shot it once and it hit the T-Rex, but it didn't bring him down, and T-Rex noticed him and it was like walking towards him, and he's like frantically trying to put the other dart in the gun to shoot him.
And eventually passes out.
Yeah, it doesn't show you what happens right then, but then later it shows you he's like sitting next to the tranquilized T-Rex, and that's
it's somewhat similar, because that's what happens when you find out when he goes to the waterfall and gets his tongue on Tim.
Mm-hmm.
And just like eventually fades out.
So it's in the movie, it's kind of similar, and that character from the second movie isn't in the second book, so he's a completely made-up character that I think is based off of Muldoon anyways. But he's really cool.
But yeah, I wish they had that scene. I knew, even though it's in the second one technically, I wish they had that scene in that movie. I think that would have been a cool scene.
Yeah, the whole river scene, and like that really tense moment when the T-Rex, like they fall off the waterfall and they're all in the water, and then the T-Rex comes up with Lex's life jacket, and you think maybe the T-Rex got Lex.
Yeah.
That's a great moment that they could put to film, which I think
I'm sure they would have done it better than Jurassic World.
Was there something similar to that in the new one where they're getting attacked on a raft by the T-Rex? Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like doing it now is just it does nothing, in my opinion. Like, all of those movies are trash.
The movies do this thing. Yeah. The movies do this thing where they shoehorn kids into every movie somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you noticed that. In every single movie, there's some plot armor kid character that just is there to represent the childlike wonder in the audience, I guess. I don't know. It's just dumb.
What I find interesting is, so nowadays they always need to have their baby Yoda character, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they've been putting baby dinosaurs and everything. I find it funny that in this book, like, it's warranted to put those in the movies because there's baby dinosaurs in the book, the first book, like the original.
Yeah.
So I do find that just a little bit funny, because like people bitch and moan about that now because it's going to get like women and kids to go and watch the movie.
Did they name in the new movie? Did they name the baby Triceratops Ralph?
something like that. Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah,
Missed opportunity if they didn't.
I can't
What
remember
did-
actually.
What did she name the baby velociraptor? Like Morton
Wasn't
or
it like-
something?
Oh,
I thought it was like Billy or something, but that's not.
maybe Billy. Yeah, I think it's Billy. Curtis, what book do you have? Do you have the? Because I got the black one.
I
There's a
have the
black one.
leather. I have a few. I have the leather bound one from Barnes and Noble that has both books in it,
Yeah.
and then I've got like a really old hardback Lost World, and then a really old paperback Jurassic Park.
Because I like the book Galax, but I don't the white. I like the white cover better. Maybe that's because the whiteness in me.
The white cover one looks. Let me see that again.
Yeah.
The cover of the white one.
Oh, okay. You want that?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Dom,
Well,
yours is more like
classic.
true. Yeah, it looks more like the movie. Let me go
This
find
one
it really
looks
quick.
like a modernized in
I
comparison.
do like that one better though.
I like it because of the green.
No, of course. Yeah.
I'm a simple girl.
But you're
Really
no
want-
longer green hair and Taylor, right? You're white hair and
I
Taylor.
don't change my name based on
I know. I
hair
just
color.
didn't. I know this.
That's what people don't get. It's not because of my current hair color that my name is
Yeah.
as such.
Just your
Green
favorite
is
color.
My favorite color. I know it's in here. I'm going to find it because it's going to bother me.
You probably could just Google it.
Shh.
Maybe it's still green. Your hair's still green on the inside.
So, Chris, what's the question we were asking again? I bet I can beat Gal to this answer.
Clarence. That's
Clarence.
his name.
Fuck. God damn it.
See, I thought it was like Morton or something. I knew it was some kind of like lawyer
Weird name. Yeah.
Weird.
because he looks
Really?
like Clarence.
To answer your question earlier, Kratos, at first I was going to say no. I think I like the other Avatar better,
Oh.
but this one's grown on me because it's more clear that
It
it's
looks so
Kratos.
chubby.
Yeah. The other one. Yeah, the other one's just a T-Rex. I don't know.
Right, with the paint.
Right.
But anyway, what were
When
we...
it like, how about the beginning of the book? I don't even want to jump there.
So that's hard to discuss because with the book, at least, you have to do a lot of setup. With a movie, you can kind of just show it quickly.
Yeah.
Certain things. With a book, you definitely need to be able to provide a setup. So a lot of that time is spent with characters separate and getting it into the nitty gritty.
I know how to give myself goosebumps, and one way is that the ending of that first chapter where she looks up raptor in the dictionary.
Mhm.
Because
Burger
because people, you know, dinosaurs were a thing, but they weren't like super
Prominent.
mainstream. Yeah.
Yep.
Like because what Jurassic Park caused to happen. So I wouldn't be surprised if like a doctor didn't know what the word raptor meant.
Right.
But like,
Well, like, and the actual definition too.
yeah. Well, and it's because the name of Velociraptor is named after the word raptor comes from bird of prey.
Mhm.
And so that's why they named it that. But like when she's like trying to figure out what attacked this dude, and you're thinking like, what is this, a gigantic bird or something that mauled this guy?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Some horrific thing. But it's kind of cool how they set that up. Like if you knew nothing about dinosaurs, you might have thought that it was Spanish, but it was the dude just saying, he was trying to say Velociraptor, but he was like not able to talk.
Yeah.
That's something I want to bring up because I think I wrote this in the chat at the time. Like they couldn't come with a better excuse. They couldn't say like maybe like a shark attack instead of a construction accident.
Well, it worked, I guess.
Right.
Like the lie.
Because that was like that was their excuse.
Well, I don't know. Would it be? I guess they'd have to like throw him in the ocean and like put him in swimming trunks and.
Well, and counter to popular belief, shark attacks don't happen that frequently.
Yeah.
But since they were on an island, there is that possibility that it would have been easy enough to come up with. But like, it's also possible that Costa Rica will at least be able to understand and easily see what a shark attack looks like compared to a construction sign. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's not the best, but I think it's better than a construction accident.
Yeah, I think like
that's my point.
Yeah.
I think it was a rush either way. Like, you know, Ed, his character kind of he made the point later on that like he shouldn't have even been there because he was like the PR guy.
Yep.
For some reason, he was the one like taking him to see a doctor. And so I guess he just had to come up with something on the fly that, you know, it was a construction accident and because they weren't allowed to talk about what they had there.
Yeah, like make it kind of boring. Construction sites have accidents all the time. Like just a quick write-off accident.
Yeah, and it was so rushed too. They didn't even think in advance to put some dirt in the wound or something. Yeah. I guess they probably would have still wanted to save the guy.
Yeah.
Because in the thing, like she tries, you know, saving him, but he dies ultimately, and she takes pictures, and they say like they take them, right?
Yeah, they take the camera or the film or whatever.
Or whatever it is, yes. But the other beginning I want to get into, like, because they kind of the opening from the second movie where like with the families on vacation at the beach, and so it's kind of interesting how they put, you know, that's the opening to the second movie, how they put that in there. Yeah,
that one, it's a pretty iconic scene in the second one because like movies don't often show like bad things happening to kids. And even if it's off screen, like it's kind of sticks with you. Like, disturbing.
Oh wow,
but then the way that they cut the scenes together, where it's funny. If you never have noticed this as funny, then next time you will for sure. But so it shows the mom running up, she screams, and then it cuts to Malcolm with like palm trees in the back. And it makes you think like Malcolm attacked the daughter or something, or she's screaming at Malcolm.
And he's on the subway.
Yeah. It's just a picture. It's like an advertisement behind him on the subway.
And good old New York City, I think, right?
Yeah.
I read this from Kel.
Actually.
I know. I'm just,
It's pretty funny.
And Kratos, I was watching some reviews, and I mean, you kind of spoiled it, but then I watched this review, and they even spoiled even more. I don't know if Gal wants to hear it, but
spoiled what? The second book?
About certain characters.
Are you talking about in the second book?
If I elaborate more, I'm gonna reveal it.
What are you spoiling if you say it?
Like, are you talking about in the second book or the new movie?
Yeah, about a certain character being in the second book.
We already know Malcolm's the main character in the second book.
Right.
Is that what you're talking about?
I mean, I did. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I had questions about it.
Yeah, they explain it.
I talked about it on the stream anyway.
I was watching a few videos, and they just wrote. I'm like, yeah, he's in the second book. I'm like, fuck. There you
go. Yeah, because it's kind of just there's enough ambiguity in the first book that he was able to kind of say that he recovered. He explains it well in the second book.
Yeah.
I figured that was probably that was probably what happens in the second book, because like why would they make it out of whole cloth in the second movie?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just the main character in the second movie, so like that would be a completely egregious thing to change the main character of the second book if that's not who the main character was. Yeah. So I figured as much, but I didn't like the way it was worded.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, because it's like Muldoon assumes that he died, like because he shook his head, and then I guess later on they weren't allowed, and even to that point they assumed that Hammond died too,
right?
Because all he said was that the Pompies got him, I mean, they could have like, you know, right after the scene cut away, they could have like found him and saved him and whatever. But
right, in like another helicopter or something, saved him.
Yeah, but I guess Malcolm was in such a bad state that he just assumed that he died.
Well, because I mean, it wouldn't be all that shocking because he had put that tourniquet on a long ass time ago. Sure, like he might lose the leg,
and he had been getting medical attention from Harding the whole time.
Right, but they didn't necessarily have what he needed. They made do with what they had.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Like it wouldn't be that that much of a leap for someone to assume that his body finally gave out because we couldn't give him the proper medical attention he needed.
Yeah, and in the second book, he has like a leg injury. He has to walk with a cane for a little bit, and then he kind of explains how like he pretty much did die, but they brought him, or they resuscitated him.
Yeah.
They go into that, and like that's the premise for how he meets the female love interest, which is in the movie but is a lot different in the book.
I like how you said the female love interest as if there's a male love interest.
Borderline.
In the book?
Not really, but
okay.
There's a bit of a bromance kind of thing.
Oh, you're doing the modern shit. Gotcha. Men can't have friendships.
Nope.
They're gay.
Everything's gay.
No, the complete opposite. I'm saying like some people might see it as gay, but actually it's just a bromance. There you go.
Yes.
I was meaning in that
I know what Gal's saying.
That you were doing that. I know you weren't actually doing it.
Gotcha. But yeah, there's explanation for it, and so I can kind of cut some slack because I guess he wanted to bring the character back.
Right.
Because he's a good character. I would say Malcolm is actually the best character in the book.
So what's funny is I love Tim and Gennaro.
And Grant is good too.
Yeah. So I have a special place in my heart for both of those characters because what the movie did to them. So they are high on my list for favorite characters, but they're well put together characters in general in the book.
Yep.
The movie puts them higher on my list, but they're definitely not as high as Malcolm, especially because the book just elaborates further on the points that he makes in the movie. And he's like never wrong. Yep.
Yeah,
keep rolling your eyes, Dom.
That's what you think.
You just don't like the harsh realities of life.
I don't know if I could deal with him.
I'm not saying I can deal with him either.
I know there's
some people in your comment section that really hate him.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Malcolm.
Mudcrab.
Yeah.
There you go, Mudcrab.
Yeah, he does. So
and
and him are in the similar camp.
Yeah.
So, I think there's that one. What makes me like him is there's that one conversation he's having with Hammond after they kill all the raptors off, where Hammond is like, well, it's a good thing we didn't cause the world, and Hammond is like, you stupid ass. Like, humans do not have that capability. Like, and
you mean Malcolm, not Hammond, but yeah.
Yeah, so
yeah.
Hammond said that, Malcolm retorted back to him. But yeah, I like that he kind of puts perspective on like what humans are capable of doing. Mm-hmm. Like there are definitely things that humans are capable of destroying, like environmentally wise, like you've seen with like Flint, Michigan, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like we do not have the capacity yet to destroy an entire planet, like obliterate it, not even the surface of it.
Right. Like he's good at essentially describing the scale of what we're capable of and how it does and does not actually affect the planet the way that more catastrophic things did. And
like putting things in perspective and like, well, what can we actually affect? Like what change can we actually, what kind of positive things can we actually do? And that's one of the things I like about his character is that he's practical. Mm-hmm. And like, it goes back to like the clothes that he wears. He only wears one type of thing because it's practical. He doesn't want to think about like just he's like, what
Making
a
new
useless.
outfits, changing outfits every day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a waste of time for him.
He said he only wears black, right?
Yeah, but that he also said that in the same sentence as when he said that he didn't like sports.
Yeah.
He's like fashion industry and sports are the two things that are a waste of time.
That's the one part of him that I won't agree with.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it either, really, but I'm like,
I mean, it has its
entertainment.
point. Yes.
Entertainment in general has a value,
Mm-hmm.
and especially sports, especially when you're younger, being a part of it, like even if it's not in a professional capacity,
Right.
there's good value in that.
Well, and even just being part of the world of math, even he can appreciate that sports and math go hand in hand, especially with baseball. But even football, like strategies for sports and math, they're friends.
I mean, you can't even give like a chaos theory example without bringing up billiards or
right.
I mean, he uses like weather as a good example, but yeah, I like him. Maybe part of it is that I think his character is even better in the second book. I'm
not gonna lie, I'm excited to read the second book, so I don't know if I'm gonna read it or I'm just gonna knock it out in a sitting.
Because strangely enough, I read the second book before the first one.
Why?
When I was a kid in fourth grade. And I just skipped over most of the sciencey stuff, but
did you watch the movies before reading the books?
Oh yeah. And so I think the second movie was already out, and that's why I wanted to read the second book.
Okay.
I didn't, so like at the time I didn't even know they were based on books, and then my older sister told me, and she had the second one, but I don't think we had the first one. And so she would like, she read me like the first few chapters, and I'm like, okay, I'll read the rest myself. But it was so it's kind of like I read the second book. I knew Malcolm's character from that, and then I went back and read the first one later, and so that might be why I have kind of a skewed perspective on his character, because I think he grows into a much better character, even from what he was in this.
Started with that and had the movie Malcolm as well.
Yeah,
from the first one. Yeah, I could see that.
And in the movie, he's kind of like, if you compare movie Malcolm from the first and second one, in the second one he's a lot more like outdoorsy. He's not as
rock star.
He's not as academic or just stuck up, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of the same in the books. He kind of goes that direction. But yeah, it's partly due to that. I like Grant too. Grant is just such a cool character, where he just has this knowledge base about dinosaurs, and he's trying to help these kids not die. And then he shows up and basically saves the day in the book. Turns the power back on, helps kill the rest of the raptors.
I do appreciate the movie giving a little bit of what Grant did to Sattler's character, because in the book she kind of is just very much in the background.
Yeah,
she got like different stuff to do in the book, because in the book she was the whole scene at the what's it called, the lodge, where she was
she was distracting, or wanting to distract, like when she was running into the
she was, so there was the two on the roof, and there was the other ones that she was trying to distract to lure over there, and that whole situation that she got into because of that. That was cool. And then I guess she had a little bit more to do with Harding and with
because they actually gave full scenes when they discover the sick, is it a stegosaurus?
Yeah, in the book it's a stegosaurus.
Yeah.
So she got a few more things. So there was that drive back the night where they almost found Nedry's body, but they got called back to the control room.
Right.
And there was something else, actually, but in the movie, so they gave Gennaro's scene to her when they went and found Ed Regis's leg.
Yes. Yep.
So she got
a bunch of other people's stuff because the stuff in the book they just didn't put in the movie for her roles that she had in the book. For the most part, none of those sections, like the lodge itself, really wasn't in the movie at all. So
during the raptor attack, she was just in the lodge, with the exception of doing the distraction thing.
Right. At least she was able to, with adrenaline pumping, climb the tree, get to the roof, and then jump into the pool. That's
such a cool moment. Oh, yeah, and then I guess there's also when they go to the raptor nest later on.
Yeah.
She's kind of involved in that.
Honestly, like the raptor nest was a little out of place. Like it was kind of jarringly different to the rest of the story.
It seemed almost like the danger wasn't present.
Yeah.
They couldn't see them, right? Or something?
Mm-hmm.
I guess so. They had some defenses this time around, except the one time they probably would have needed it. Ellie wasn't wearing her mask because she's a freaking idiot.
Yep. Like, I don't know. Dumbass choice. What did you
do? Yeah, it was, I guess there was a reason why they needed to go do it, and he gave plenty of reasons why they couldn't just like gas the nest and then count the eggshells afterwards. But
thank you, Cliff, for the snacks.
It was nice because it did feel a little out of place, but it was a nice way to wrap up the plot line about the dinosaurs breeding, and they had to like figure out exactly, or try to guess how many had bred, but then it didn't really matter in the end because they just got evacuated. And then they find out later that it's implying that a bunch of raptors got loose on the mainland and they were migrating through the forest, which is a very cool plot thread.
Mm-hmm. Like it did serve its purpose, but it definitely was just.
It felt like the danger had passed for the most part. They had kind of gotten things under control when like just a few chapters before, these things were like a huge threat to them.
Yes, exactly.
Go back to. Sorry.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
Back to Malcolm's character. Going back into one thing I do like in the movie. One thing, but I like the movie. I like with the power going down and them in the cars. I do like in the movie that they had Grant and Hamlin try to do something to lure the T-Rex away, instead of Ian just run away kind of into the forest, and he gets injured. And then same thing with it was Ed Regis. I do prefer that in the movie where they do get a little hero kind of thing, try to lure the T-Rex away.
You know that the guy that played Malcolm, Jeff Goldblum, he convinced Spielberg to add the scene in.
Yes, we got to put that. I think that's
just the little extra bit of him holding the flare before he runs away. That's the only thing that they added, and just give his character a little bit more of a, I guess, make him less of a coward like Gennaro was.
Yeah. I thought that was a good decision by him. I agree like that, and I just love the whole dynamic in the movie of just the T-Rex coming here, the dumb.
Yeah.
Like I just love that dynamic play out in the movie. But in the book, I think Tim just sees him through his goggles in the fence, and he just tests the fence. And I prefer that movie dynamic better. The whole first T-Rex scene.
There's a really good buildup of tension with the water in the cup and the lawyer trying to figure out what it is. Oh yeah.
And Was
And
this,
I think,
oh,
Don,
sorry.
we should watch. I have the making of Jurassic Park, which is really cool. It's like 30 minutes long. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah. No, I haven't. No.
They interview like all of the people that were involved in making the movie, and you get to see like how they did the effect of the water, the water shaking, and like it's
The
really
dinosaur
interesting.
sounds,
Yeah, the sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is really fucking fascinating to me. I love that.
And
Yeah.
no,
Do you know what the Velociraptor scream is made of? It's made of two animal sounds.
Really? Where is it?
Yeah, like so you know the scream whenever the Velociraptor like recognizes the kid in the kitchen. No, not that
Yes.
one. When he like shrieks, he like sees the kid and he starts running after him.
Oh, isn't it? I wanted to
Yeah. Well, anyways, it's a walrus and a dolphin. It has like a deep growl of a walrus and then like the high pitched scream of a dolphin.
Mhm.
And
Really?
yeah, it's really interesting how they did those. Well, anyways,
I'm gonna say a quick. Yeah, of course, yes. Yeah, I'll be interested. Another thing, I just prefer they kept it one T-Rex. I did not like the juvenile T-Rex that just popped up randomly, and he's the one that got the kill for Ed Regis, and then he pops up later, ends up kind of saving Grant and the kids.
unintentionally.
I prefer just having the one T-Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of nothing it. Like I didn't care either way with that. Rexy's awesome and always will be. So,
yeah. So you like the two T-Rex dynamic?
I don't care either way.
Oh, you don't care. Okay, you just said it. Though.
But the big Rex is always going to be best Rex.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. It just kind of added this extra, I guess, an extra threat.
Yeah. Well, and it was kind of it added a tiny bit of comic relief. I found it funny a little, like when it went to steal Rexy's pill that she had made and distracted her away. Like that was kind of funny to me because he's just like freaking juvenile and he's just like, oh look, she left me food. Now it's mine.
And it kind of reminds you of dogs a little bit, like
yes, yeah.
How they'll get protective.
I was gonna mention that earlier, even like with the raptor, like the baby raptor led them to the nest and everything, and like the way it was interacting was very, very much like a pet or a dog. And like it had befriended them.
Oh, here's a good thing to bring up. You see this all the time, or at least I do. I always see these articles anytime there's a new Jurassic movie coming out. There will be some people talking about like in the inaccuracies of the on-screen dinosaurs or whatnot, and pretty much 100% of the time, like 90% of the way down the article, it'll say something like, "Well, in the books it explains it by this," but not before they had like a clickbait headline and then all this stuff just crapping on the movie. But like the one that they always talk about is like Dilophosaurs are not. There's no evidence that they could spit poison or they had that frill. And I'm like, that's the whole point of him putting that in the book, was because it was a thing that he deliberately made up because he wanted to put something in that was like, there's some things that paleontologists can never prove. It's not provable just by bones alone, right?
Right. Just like when we were watching it on Discord, like Grant knowing some of the things like by the natural instincts of raptors is based off of zero information that he could have possibly had.
He just happened to be right, and it was just like they guessed that they were pack hunters based on certain things, and that's kind of where these ideas come from. But they did that. They touched on that a little bit in the book, where he was like, because he was the one who started the idea of like the nesting behaviors, and so then he wrote that one paper about like the what he theorized was the parenting habits of some species of dinosaurs, and so but that's all coming from just his imagination about, like, he's taking a few pieces and kind of thinking, well, maybe this because of this evidence, right?
Yeah, I mean, he makes a point, like, in his inner monologue, I think, because I don't think he was speaking it out loud, where he talked about the realization that he didn't know they were blind, you know, type of like to these things like up close, like it's sudden movements, things like that. What's up, Clue? And he had that commentary where all they have is bones to go off of. So they make assumptions based off of certain details within the bones where you can see like the musculature, how it might affect the bones, but you're not going to know like how they hunt by, is it scent? Is it sight? Like those type of things. You can't know that. What I find interesting though, is I commented on it in some of my streams when reading, like, you don't actually know that that's how the dinosaurs will never actually know that that's how the dinosaurs acted back then, because they're splicing the DNA to create these new dinosaurs.
Well, that's actually a huge plot of the second book. And so if you're interested in that part of it, then you'll like that part of the second book. But the thing is, like, there's some things that are kind of instinct, and then there's other behaviors that are passed down. And like, you know, you see that all the time with like even in humans, like fatherless homes, where like you'll get different behaviors out of that versus if you have like good parents, right? And like, so the second book goes into it a lot more, where you have these dynamics between the groups of, like, even within like the pack of raptors or whatever, like even within a species, you don't know if that pack behavior, how much of it is instinct and how much of it is just, or, you know, situational. And like, what is how did they used to behave versus how they're behaving in this world, in this small little isolated
environment. Like I think Malcolm even brought that up, like the atmosphere has changed from way back in the day when they actually existed compared to now. So like
they might be grumpier than normal, I don't know.
Like there might be something in the air that affects them differently as it because it wasn't something that was that was in the air back then. So it's a completely different world, and that's why we're never going to be able to know something like that. If this were ever like a reality and not science fiction where we could do this, it's still just not going to be anything that you can definitively say was how they were.
And not even just in how they behave, but in how they look, because you don't know
sicknesses they have.
Well, when they were talking about like, you know, how do you know if you get the correct dinosaur? And he's like, well, we just raise it, and if it has some defect, then we start over. But like, there's all these things that happen in the, you know, in the egg during the development cycle that, you know, they have no way of knowing. And like, is the, maybe, I don't know, just as an example, I know it's probably not true, but like, you know, the T-Rex having small arms, maybe that's just a, you know, deformed T-Rex. Regular T-Rexes had normal sized arms, but all the only fossil that we found of T-Rex, it had like retard arms. I don't know.
Right.
And so, you don't, that's another thing that you'll see all the time is like, people trying to say that the on-screen dinosaurs aren't really accurate, and they'll say like the velociraptors are too big, which the, you know, the actual velociraptor species was smaller, but there's a different raptor species, I think called Utah raptor, that's about that size.
I've heard
you'll see that brought up all the time, but like that goes back to, in the book, they talked about how they just guessed and checked, and they don't even know for sure if it's velociraptor. They kind of just like look at the DNA, I forget what they said, it's like the DNA history or something, so they can kind of trace where it is on the on the species map. But
Right.
Well, Kratos, one dinosaur, so in Jurassic Park 3, they made the Spinosaurus really big, and he was never that big. So in the Jurassic World movie, I heard those are more accurate. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
Yeah, the ones they showed them in the trailer.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's just another example of genetic engineering, just kind of creating monsters instead of what the genes were really supposed to be. I don't know. They definitely talk about that in Jurassic World too with the Indominus Rex. What's funny about that movie, or not funny, but the whole so in the movie they show all these CG dinosaurs and they're like, yeah, but people are tired of this. We need something more exciting. And in world, the dinosaurs themselves are like not as exciting as they once were. But it's kind of meta because in the real world, CGI isn't as exciting as it once was, where you might have, like, if you go back to the first movie, the CGI really holds up because of, and this is another reason I'd recommend watching the making of, because it really goes into detail about how much attention they put to making the CGI in this movie. But it used to be this cool thing that would amaze people, but now it's just like, kind of anybody can do it. It's just this dime a dozen thing where CGI just isn't as exciting anymore. And so, and then in Jurassic World, they make the Indominus Rex, which it's supposed to, it's an interesting meta narrative because in universe, it's supposed to get the, park going people more excited about a new attraction. But like the audience watching the movie, it's supposed to get them excited about, oh, this new crazy monster dinosaur that's going to cause problems or whatever. And so it's really interesting narrative there. But it always goes back to that, like what they're creating. Grant even says it in the third movie. At the beginning, he's like, what InGen created were genetically engineered theme park monsters or something. They weren't real dinosaurs. He says something along those lines, and that's true. And so, like, maybe all the dinosaurs did have feathers, but the ones in Jurassic Park were just like that because they were half frog. I don't know.
Right. That's exactly like what my thought was whenever I would bring that up on the stream, is just like, they're acting this way. Oh, I never would have thought that that's actually how they acted. Well, we don't actually know that that's it because they're spliced together with modern species.
Yeah.
So it could just be taking on traits of the species that they combined it with, because it wasn't just frogs, right?
That was just, they kind of just picked and chose whichever thing they needed and for that situation, and just happened to be the frogs that were used in one specific situation that caused the breeding to start happening.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's an interesting, like, philosophical topic because we're never going to know, right?
Yeah.
I think that's
now every time you see those people talking about the dinosaur accuracy, you can throw this back at them and be like, actually, in the book.
We're gonna just Gronk. Gronk, is this true?
No. Yeah. It's always the top comment on any post now.
Oh my god, yes. Let me actually because they mentions in the book and you comment on it. Does it actually snow in Montana in August? Or do you
okay.
I don't remember that?
So there's 4 seasons in Montana. Almost winter, winter, still winter, and construction. Those are the 4 seasons in Montana.
Montana borders Canada, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I do, yes.
Well,
I know you do. It's cold up there.
Mm-hmm.
I know. But
yeah, I drove through a blizzard in June, Dom.
I know when I think August, I think like kind of it's still somewhat middle of summer.
Yeah,
I think that's crazy.
So generally speaking, August in Montana is 100+ degrees of dry heat, but it is not impossible towards the end of August to get a snowstorm.
And the reason I'm going to that scene because I think because in the end, like when they bring him back to the hotel, I think Grant said he wants to go back, and he goes, "I need to get back because it's gonna start snowing soon in August, right?" That was the context of it.
Yeah.
And like, nope, you're staying here. You're stuck here.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of interested how that's gonna play out.
Yeah, they don't. I don't think they ever really follow up on that in the second book.
Oh, really? Oh, shit.
They just kind of imply that. Well, they mentioned Grant once, but they're mostly just talking about like how everybody's under NDA. They're not allowed to talk about what happened, and it's kind of like on that.
So Grant's really he's not even in the second. He's not even in the second book too.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, because when you think about it, it like, all the people that were on that island, there's not a whole lot that's going to convince them to go back to another island with other dinosaurs. Like, and that's in the movie, Malcolm is very opposed to going back, but he gets dragged there anyways because of what's her name, and she's the reason that he goes there. And then in the third one, Grant only gets like, he got like bribed, and then they like basically kidnapped him. So
if I were faced with that decision, it would take a lot of fucking convincing. No, thank you.
Right. Or like, yeah, sure, I'll go back as long as there's no carnivores there.
Yeah.
If only they had made a Jurassic Park with only herbivores, nothing would have happened. It's just like the Velociraptors and the T-Rex, and I guess the Dilophosaurus got Nedry, and the Compies ended up getting Hammond. But
yeah,
why do you think they took Ed Regis' character out? Like they didn't put him in the movie.
Pacing, there's too many characters.
Yeah.
This movie came out in 1993, so like people aren't used to Infinity War levels of characters.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't even like it now, so. Infinity level of characters, right?
Yeah.
Ensemble casts can go away. Thanks.
Do you think that this would make a good one-season TV show?
I mean, I'll watch it.
Like a faithful adaptation.
I kind of want to. Yeah, I want to see the story play out because I do like the ending.
I could see that. I feel like they would never do it because one season is not going to make them money.
Well, the one season per book, and then just stop at two seasons and be good with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
just be okay with that.
I mean, in modern times, they'd probably make it 4 seasons. So like 2 seasons per book at the very least.
Oh, it depends who's making it too. How much bullshit changes will they make to it?
Well, and like what's the budget for the effects? Plus, is it going to be 13 episodes, 8 episodes, 22 episodes?
Yeah.
So, like, I could totally see them doing like 13 episodes or something for the first season, for first book,
What do you guys? What ending you guys like better, the book or the movie? I don't know if you elaborate.
They both have pros and cons.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so the book actually goes into, okay, they survived, now what? A little bit, right? So I do technically like that better just because I feel like it kind of completes the story a bit better. Because with the movie, they're just, oh my God.
It's like a happily ever after ending.
Yes, exactly. Like, we survived with as many as we could. And then, okay, where the fuck are you going? Like,
yeah. The book talks a little bit more about like all of the ramifications of just being involved in that. Like the government needs to hold somebody accountable, but everybody who was in charge is dead. So
yeah, and like at least in the book they attempt to destroy it. The movie, they're just like, fuck off, bye. Like,
right. And I didn't even really realize it until we watched the movie, how much the movie set itself up for sequels with just by not destroying the island, by not killing Hammond. And obviously, I think here, let me look up, when did the second book come out? Because I think it was while the movie was being made.
Well, the movie came out in '97. I don't know. It helps.
I mean, the first movie. So, because I think
the book.
I think Spielberg was already talking to Crichton about the sequel while filming the first movie.
First film.
Yeah.
And Crichton died. He's dead. I mean, he died in like 2008, right, or something like that.
He did. He died on Election Day, 2008.
And Gal's a big fan of his grammar.
Right.
It's not as egregious as others.
So the Lost World came out in 1995. First Jurassic Park movie came out in '93, but I know that Spielberg was talking to Crichton while he was writing the sequel. And so I think part of that conversation would have been using Malcolm as a character.
Right. And that would definitely make sense as to why. Because first of all, they made him a heartthrob. And they did that very well to where he was popular. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That allowed for them or Crichton to make use of the fact that he was very ambiguous about his death and left it open-ended. So that would definitely make sense that they were in talks. So he was just like, all right, I'll just make him I'll bring him back.
You know what scene I want to talk about? So when Grant does the whole egg thing to kill the velociraptors.
Yeah.
I like that kind of played out in the book.
I liked that scene as well. There was so much more to like the power getting turned on with the way that Tim had to navigate through the system for that part. And then they have just a little bit more that they still have to stop the raptors. And like, I really enjoyed that. And I liked that.
They make the raptors look a little dumb in that scene, or no? I know, because they describe them as smart.
Well,
I don't know.
So the first one ate the egg and like died from it, and then that made the second one suspicious of the eggs.
Right.
And so I think on that level they're definitely intelligent, but then like they're intelligent, but they're still only as intelligent as their surroundings.
Yeah.
Like,
and so like
doesn't one of them attack each other?
Yeah. So like,
they
like I guess one of the ones that didn't have the neurotoxin yet, which I think is what he was injecting, right?
Yeah, it was something.
Some kind of poison.
It was a neurotoxin, because the neurotoxin will spread around in your bloodstream, and then when the other raptor bit the one that had it in his bloodstream, he got it too.
Yeah.
And so but like, how is a velociraptor supposed to know that, right?
Exactly.
And
so, it doesn't know what's going on.
That's true.
Yeah. But then so like in just I guess out of luck, it bit the other one, but that's also something that it goes back to like behavior of like, are they behaving that way? These are like caged animals that don't have any like mentorship from older members of their own species, and like they just attack each other because like, well, if you're wounded, you're no longer useful in the pack, so I'll just eat you, I guess.
Right. And they demonstrated that essentially with like them eating that baby raptor.
Yeah.
It wasn't, and I was confused because I was assuming it was the one that they had found, but it was not. It was one that was basically bred in the lab. So it wasn't one of their own.
Well, it was a clone of them. So
Yeah.
it'd just be the same.
Well,
but like,
no. So it wasn't a clone of them because they're
all based on the same DNA, right?
Well, yeah, but they were the ones that were breeding. So like, it wasn't one of their babies.
The one that he found in the tunnel would have been a new one, but the one in the nursery,
right? And so that's why they didn't care for that one and just ate it.
Yeah.
So
what I
like
would
it
think.
made more sense once I realized that that wasn't the one that they had created by nature.
And that's another thing. It doesn't really spoil anything in the second book, but Malcolm's theory, there's a developing theory as to why so many dinosaur species went extinct. And part of the reason is because if some behavior changes in some critical species that's important to an ecology, like, there's like a balance of wolves and deer in a forest, right? And if the deer start just acting differently, and that causes their population to dwindle, then the wolves will go extinct. And you cause this chain reaction of like,
good wolves should go extinct because all they're good for is killing and for the kill, not for the food. And then it completely destroys the rest of the ecology.
Right. But his theory in the book was something like, maybe you still have the asteroid impact theory, but then you have on top of that
Tetraalpha-secretin.
Oh yeah.
I'm 11.
Wasn't that like some crazy
it was marked with they just say it's a poison, and the reason he grabbed that one is because it was one of the rows of bottles that were marked with a skull and crossbones. So like Wu had talked about how they had poisons of a certain level in there, and so he looked for the skull and crossbones.
Right. Yeah, the theory just is about how part of why dinosaurs went extinct. His theory was like that they just started the behaviors caused multiple species to have a chain reaction of dying.
Right.
But yeah.
You know what? I like it. They did in the book. I love all the charts and graphics they did in the book. Like, just
I do enjoy those because I like to absorb like all of the information about like the different version numbers on the dinosaurs, and like all like when you were going through, Tim trying to gain control back, so one thing, go towards the end,
I'm
like
I'm getting there.
Yeah, right there. So this one, this is like, so when I'm reading the book and I'm in this, well, maybe I guess this is Arnold, but if I'm Tim and I'm like trying to figure out how to turn the power back on, I'm like, which one of these would I push? And like, yeah.
Oh,
so like the main grid, sub main, things like that.
This
startup.
Scene, when Tim was doing that was one thing about Lex. She goes, "Oh, you don't know, Tim. No, like, shut the fuck up and give me 5 minutes and figure it out." Like, holy shit!
Goddamn kid sisters.
Yeah. Just because I don't know right away. Like, God, holy shit.
Yeah. But I like seeing all the detail here about like there's heating and cooling there. Like there's all these different systems that the park had that.
Right, like which one would be the one that I need to get these fucking doors to close, or
but and not only just
electricity.
It's like Crichton put some thought into like what are the other things that the island would need, and so like hydraulic main, I don't know what that is, but that's something to do with hydraulics, right? Explosion, fire hazard, schematic main, common interface, like all these things are in telecom, right? These are all like parts of the control system that you would need. So I think that's kind of cool.
And I actually wish that the freaking movie would have done something like that instead of what they did, because what they did was utter and complete nonsense and laughable. So
this part is so good, where they it's just a simple thing, and you got a lot of other people who write code in your chat, and like this is one of those things where if you don't tell the computer exactly what you want, it's not
tell smart enough to
and so this is it's such a great example. I think this should be taught in like all computer science programming degrees is just read this book and like identify yeah, just like this it's such an easy, if you just, instead of asking for the expected number, you know, but it's
give it a different range to see what it does.
There's a reason they did that, because like, you know, if it's a system that would, you know, pick up mice and birds and all that, as well as the dinosaurs, you might not want to waste computational resources on that. And so maybe after you find the expected number, you just stop so that the computer isn't running 24/7.
Right.
But so that there's like a trade-off here, but you know, if one of your main concerns is that, but I can see how this could slip through the cracks, right? Because they, you know, this is 1990, well, 89, I guess. Yeah, 89 is when the book came out. So like, you know, the computers didn't just have like a whole bunch of extra memory and CPU. So like, you might need to conserve on what you use the computer for. And so I can see the reasoning where if you weren't worried about there being too many dinosaurs, you only wanted to know if one is missing, then you would only count the expected. But like, it's just, you have like, anytime there's like critical failures, it's usually because there's two things that failed. So Microcraton has another really good book called Airframe, which is not sci-fi, but if you're at all interested in like all of the stuff that's going on with Boeing and planes not working recently, it's a very, very good book. I know Prof.
What has that been happening?
I know Prof read it recently too, but it's a very good book. It's just about a plane malfunction, and then like the manufacturers have to investigate why it happened, and then there's some people who don't want that investigation to happen, and so the people investigating it get like
Hillary Clinton.
People trying to kill him, yeah.
I guess.
And yeah, and but anyways, what they talk about is like they have all these safety systems in place, but usually most failures will happen because not just because one thing failed, but because one thing failed and that cascaded to a second thing failing, and that's an edge case they didn't check for.
Right.
You know, because most of the time you can kind of, if one thing fails, you can have a backup plan for that, but you don't usually have a plan for any combination of any two things on the entire airplane failing and causing some other catastrophic thing. So like, and that's kind of what happened at Jurassic Park, was like they were breeding and they weren't counting the total number of dinosaurs. Right. But it's really interesting, like for engineering reasons. So I like that.
Yeah, for you fucking engineer brained people out there.
Dom, did you like all of the science in the book, or did you kind of
like, was it too much or
ignore most of that?
It's too science for me.
Was it too science dense, or was it enough that you could like get past it? Were there parts of it?
No, I appreciate all the extra information. So it didn't bore me. Like it's fine.
Were there parts of it where your eyes glazed over?
Like what do you mean? Like just kind of.
Well, like you're hearing, like you're hearing the words, but it's not. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, I mean, that's just
in one ear, out the other.
Yeah. That's just natural me because I'm not like I've told Gallic I'm not the best reader growing up in school and stuff like that. So that's just a natural thing for me.
Well, there's some stuff in this book that even like I don't fully understand it, but I get like the surface level. Like when they're talking about the genetic engineering, stuff like that. It just kind of goes over my head still, but you know that it's such a dense book science wise. Like I like how Michael Crichton can like take a scientific topic and he tells you the science that's, and he is actually, he's a scientist by
He's a scientist?
yeah, so he was a medical doctor,
Oh, right.
but he also, I think he had some other bachelor's degree in some, I thought it was engineering. But he what he knows how to do, he knows how to, or knew, he knew how to like go read research papers on a certain topic, become familiar with it, and then kind of take those,
Incorporate it.
yeah, and take the actual science and incorporate it into like, well, what if you take one step further in this science, and like now you have a what if story about bringing back dinosaurs. And his
Right.
one step further in this case was, well, you could get DNA from mosquitoes frozen in amber, which was, by the way, like, I don't know, Dom, you're probably too young to remember. Gal, you might remember this. There was this wave of like scientists being like,
2 years
wait,
young. I'm like, sorry, 2 years younger
like,
than you guys.
Yeah, but like, even I was still only 3 when this movie came out, but there was scientists that were like, wait, could this actually work? Is this thing that this author came up with, like, could this realistically happen? And the answer, it's yes and no, but like it's something
like there's
that,
not enough DNA that wouldn't just be destroyed in the process.
There's the answer is yes. It was like such a creative thing that nobody had thought of before.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think they found out more recently that the DNA just degrades too much over time.
Yeah.
Even if it's inside the ember. But yeah, he just had this way of taking a scientific topic, thinking about a way of making it super interesting,
palatable to the
turning
normie.
it into a book.
Yeah.
And so like Jurassic Park was, genetic engineering, paleontology, and chaos theory. And then he has some other books that are kind of about like AI and nanotechnology, and another one that's about quantum physics and time travel. And so if you like this one, for sure, go read some of his other stuff. But
yeah, it definitely, so like obviously I love the movie. This just makes me love the movie more, but I also love the book and now can't wait to read the next book. But that brings me to my ultimate question. Dom, you get to go first. Which do you prefer over the other? Do you prefer the book or the movie? And I don't want any halvesies. There's got to be one that's slightly more.
I can't choose both. Okay.
I mean, you can love both, but one has to be.
All right, Dom, you want to think about it? Because I have my answer.
No. You've thought about it forever. I want to hear Dom before you go. It's okay. You can talk through it.
Like I said, there's some things I like and some things I don't, but gun to my head, I'm gonna stick with the movie. Maybe because I just saw it first. Maybe if I had maybe I read the book first, I would say book. But just because just because I saw the movie first, so I grew up watching that, and I've seen that movie 10,000 fucking times.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm just programmed to used to that. Even though there are some issues I have with it, and I do prefer the book, some aspects of the book better. I would say movie.
Okay.
So
Kratos.
So the movie, it has a ton of nostalgia value. I mean, so does the book, really, because I read that a long time ago. But the movie also has music, and John Williams' music is really good. But I just have to go with the book. There's more detail.
Right. Yeah. I actually myself, I lean towards the book, which also half breaks my heart because I love the movie so much.
It's still my top 3.
Oh yeah, but the book is it has the advantage because it can provide so much more information and a more in-depth story and it gives you so much more background into the characters. It expanded upon Malcolm, who was already a favorite just because I'm a healthy woman and the man is gorgeous in that movie and he's smart. So it all just comes together. But the book gave that character so much more. Like it was a solid meal. And they didn't
really make him as much of that in the book.
Yeah,
there wasn't any description in the book of like Malcolm lay there, his sweaty abs glistening in the light.
And I don't need that in the book either. Nice,
but they did it in the movie.
Yeah, but see, with visual mediums, you can bring things more to life for those that lack in the imagination, which is appreciated. But
and that's another thing about the movie, besides the music, is that it is revolutionary in its visual effects. It used practical and CGI to great effect. But even still, I think just what outweighs those parts of it is the extra details that you get in the book. Which is why I think it would. I think honestly, if they did a truly faithful adaptation as a TV show, I think that would be the best of both worlds, because then you can get all of the details.
And there would be such a huge level of interest in it too, because it's dinosaurs. First of all, like everybody freaking loves dinosaurs. I don't care if you're a woman or a man or a girl or a boy. Like dinosaurs are awesome.
They could do it with freaking puppets, and I'd be fine with it. Like Sesame Street puppet dinosaurs.
To expand on my point, one thing because we didn't really get into some of the one-liners. Well, I would put the movie better, because just like stuff like with Malcolm when he knocks in the camera. Do you plan to have any dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour?
Yeah.
Or
there's definitely it's a great quality.
That's one big pile of shit.
Yeah.
It's so meaningful.
I really hate that, man. I really hate that.
Yeah.
Man.
I really hate that.
There's other different lines. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Spare no expense. I mean, there's a lot of lines they took directly from the book, which I thought was cool.
Because even with the spare no expense, I think it was Arnold that says it in the book.
Hold on to hold on to your butts.
I think he says it, but Hammond definitely says it. He has a whole speech that he says to Gennaro that they took almost word for word into the movie. Yeah. He's like, says something like, "Most fantastic theme park the world has ever seen." That line, that whole part of it, I think was lifted from the book. But yeah, I agree with you, Dom. There's a lot of memeable.
It has great qualities. Like this is not an easy to answer question at all by any means. 100%. But that's also why I made it difficult for you, where you can't say both. Like, no, like,
I don't think it. I wouldn't phrase it as like, I don't like the movie as much as the book. I just like the movie. I like the movie so much that I went and read the book. Like that was way beyond my reading comprehension level as a kid.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wow, I like this even more now. It it elaborates on it.
And I think it's actually good to do it that way. Even like you get the basics from the movie, but then when you go and read the book, it's just like, oh, these are the same characters, but they just have so much more to them.
Yeah.
So
I never really looked at it. It was like, until you mentioned like on a poll, like, oh, we should do Jurassic Park. But you were like, at the time you didn't want to do what do you call it? Yeah. So I never really knew there was a book out there. Obviously, they probably got the storyline somewhere, but and that made me look into it. And I'm like, shit, we got to read this on one point.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
I think that I agree with you for the most part. Where like I think if you watch the movie version of something and then go back to the book, most of the time you will not have a feeling of disappointment.
Right.
I think that there's 2 going on 3 examples that I can think of where The book is more disappointing than, or not that it's more disappointing. It's like, so The Martian, we just watched that.
Mhm.
That's like, it's like as good as you could possibly adapt a book into a movie. The book, it even improves on the book, the ending. And so like, in that case, if you read the book first and then watched the movie, then it would make the experience even better. Because the movie is better than the book. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And then from the same author, the guy that wrote The Martian, he wrote Project Hail Mary. That movie is coming out next year with Ryan Gosling, and the trailer.
I saw the trailer for that.
Yeah,
Puts
the
entirely
trailer.
Too much in it.
Well, you're not supposed to know where he is, why he's there, what his name is.
I feel like it fell into the trap that Passengers, as a movie in general, fell into. Of if you ever saw that movie, it would have been much better if they rearranged the scenes where he was awake by himself, but you didn't know what happened that woke her up.
This one with Chris Pratt, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and what's her name?
I still haven't seen that. Yeah.
It would have been such a better movie if they had rearranged some of the scenes.
Yep.
Like if I don't want to spoil it if you want to watch it.
I've seen. I haven't watched the full movie. I've seen scenes of it. I don't care. You can spoil it. Spoil it away.
Well, I care.
I was gonna say you can say that all you want, but Kratos said he hasn't seen it, so
this is on my watch list, so I'm probably gonna watch it soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say because I know the quality that we got from The Martian, I would expect Project Hail Mary to be also adapted very well. Mm-hmm. And in that case, I would definitely recommend people go listen to the audiobook. If Kel's still in the chat, I think he'll agree because he was listening to that.
Dom's debut on my channel was with the John Carter book comparison to the movie. Yeah. And John Carter, I loved that when it first came out, and I was very disappointed that it was so underrated, like under everyone's radar. It was poorly marketed, and just people didn't watch it. And then I discovered that it was based on a book, and so I read that.
You get so much more detail in there.
You do, but there's certain things that you get in the movie that make it better. Like you don't even meet the Therns until the next books. Like the Therns aren't even in the first book, but they're in the movie. And I actually enjoy the movie just a little bit, just a hair better than the book. But there's certain aspects of the book that I like more than what they did in the movie too. So
I think I don't know, with that I'm pretty sure they wanted it to be a bigger series, and then it didn't do well, and so they couldn't.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. It definitely has the potential. And it sucks because Taylor Kitsch, for a little bit there, he was going to be like a star, and then the John Carter kind of just destroyed his career, and it sucks because it was a decent movie.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoyed his portrayal in it. So
because after watching it again recently, the twist ending is, even for me, is still kind of confusing. I kind of have to go back and think about, like, you know, what exactly happened. Yeah, like how, and like
the timing was just like, wait, so like how fast, like what is a day on Earth versus and like, and but that whole bit about how like he pretended to find the thing so that he could, you know, lure them in and like get them to go after, it was his nephew, right? Yeah.
And like use him as bait basically. Mm-hmm. Because it's still just like, after you go through the entire movie, you kind of forget about the first part.
Yes, for sure.
And so you have to remember, oh right, he's dead, that's his nephew, something, and and it
what I find interesting, book, like where it ends, I hate it because it's a pretty major cliffhanger because like everybody is dying.
Yeah, and they just
teleported
back.
He can't go back.
And
oh my god! Shit, it feels so long ago since we read that. Holy shit!
I know. Well, it was over a year at this point.
Yeah, it's just the amount of books we go through. But I got a question, Gal, for you.
I do know this, Sam. Thank you.
I don't know if Kratos listened to the last book, so I don't know if he can answer this question. Who is more of a dick? Because they're kind of like, they kind of did the same thing. They both created life. Victor Frankenstein or John Hammond? Because one end, Victor Frankenstein, he creates life, but he walks out on him and lets him go on. John Hammond at least stays with the life he has.
Because he wants to profit off of it.
So, are we talking book John Hammond?
But yeah, book John.
Yeah, okay.
Of course, book John.
The only reason Hammond didn't evacuate that island is because he still wanted to recover.
Oh, you make money,
to make money. Yeah.
Hammond is worse.
Yes.
Victor. Because he really doesn't even learn his lesson in the end.
Yeah.
Like one of his final thoughts is if Ian dies, that would just make it all the worse because Ian freaking told them not to do it.
Yeah.
Like
it would be like the final nail in the coffin of him being right. And
yes.
and that's
like
he just blames everybody. He goes after Wu and his grandkids. He kind of reminds a little sport reference. It kind of reminds me of an NBA superstar, like when they don't win a title and they just blame everyone else but themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a particular specific one.
Yeah,
that I can think of.
I knew
single-handedly ruins freaking franchises over the span over decades and decades. And dynasties really just destroys them in a span of less than 10 years.
But I kind of have to agree. I think Book Hammond is more of a dick, because
of course, yeah.
Because Frankenstein, however you want to say his name, he's just a deadbeat dad, right? He just walks out.
Right. And then he makes false promises when they're reunited because he ends up killing the love interest that he was supposed to be making that he promised he would. But at least he's doing it for a bit of an altruistic reason of this could very potentially go astronomically wrong.
Right.
If I create a wife for him.
So it's a bit of a KYA, cover your ass, Dom.
But he walks out on him and just lets him roam around and he fucking kills.
Yeah, but he I guess he's trying to make him a wife so that he can not have the problem come back to him.
And he's at least sympathetic to the plight that he created.
Yeah.
At least with Hammond, like when his creations, he's trying to keep him on an island separated.
Yeah. Well, the difference is Hammond is trying to prevent them from breeding.
And Hammond, even in the end, like he didn't learn his lesson enough to not just want to do it better next time.
Yeah.
Because that was his.
You know what?
Like I'm gonna get someone else.
He's confident in his ability.
No. You know what? Screw Hammond. He doesn't want his creations to orgasm.
You don't like a confident man?
He's
That's not confidence.
He wants his Hammond wants his creations to live a climax-less life, just behind a cage, being entertainment for other people. Yeah, he's much worse.
Yeah, it's always silly Wolf's fault. If only we would have listened to him.
Hammond is worse.
You go Hammond. So it's not even like a thought. You just go Hammond.
Hammond's worse.
I think. Do you think the other? Do you think the other is worse?
Yeah. Do you think Frankenstein is worse? Really? Like your actual thought, not your troll thoughts.
Right.
I know. Yeah, I'm actually serious. It's almost debate. Yeah, because he just walks out on him and just lets him roam around the real world, not knowing what he's gonna do, and gets his brother. He gets his brother killed. And
right.
So I guess you could say at least Hammond was trying to prevent his creations from getting loose on the world.
Let's see.
Was he though?
Well, he just like was bad at it. So,
But
is Sam in the chat? I want to see if Sam agrees with me, because
he didn't even like Hammond didn't really care about all of that.
well, he was just so convinced that it couldn't happen that he was just
I
in
don't
denial.
even think he was convinced that it couldn't happen. He just wanted to ignore that it did happen.
Yeah, he was more comfortable ignoring it than of confronting the fact that it might be a possibility in the first place.
Right.
But like when it actually came down to, it didn't really talk about it a whole lot, but like the velociraptors that were on the boat that they called back, Hammond commented on that a little bit. He's like, well, it's a good thing they didn't reach the mainland because blah, blah, blah. But then at the same time, he doesn't want his creations getting out because he wants a monopoly on it.
Well, and in the beginning of the book, if you recall, he gets really nervous when Grant is talking about like the facts that he had just received.
He gets it sent to the island, which they never follow up on that.
That's on mainland.
Yeah.
All of that happened on the mainland. That wasn't on the island. So
he
knows.
Yeah, and then he kind of, even in that moment, tried to cover his trail by getting the sample sent to the island so Grant could look at it, which never happens.
Yeah.
Because I guess they just realize. So he probably just like got the sample back and just was like, Frankenstein was a coward, yeah.
Sam, that doesn't answer the question. It's a pretty simple question. Who is worse? I don't care what their characteristics were.
Well,
you have to make a decision.
Yes, make a judgment. Dom's specific question was which one was more of a dick.
Yes. I would actually lean more Victor.
I can see your argument for Frankenstein.
But see, in the end, Frankenstein has two choices. And neither one is perfect or ideal. But they both have their merits of, okay, I create another monster for my initial monster to hopefully be happy and leave the world alone. However, there's no guarantee of that.
Yep.
I can't have that pressure. It's already bad enough that I've created one monster to create another, and the potential of that monster acting completely differently and not being the same rational headspace, especially because it's a woman, not that he thinks that way.
Well, it's putting a lot of pressure on her to like keep him in check.
Well, right, exactly. And like she's not gonna have gone through the same problems that the monster went through, nor overcame, because he learned language and everything. So her life is going to be completely different. And she might be worse.
She would just get brought into a world where she was born into being a sex slave, right?
Yes.
So maybe that's not her ideal situation.
Right. And that could cause future problems where the world, like there was a promise made by one, but not another. Yeah. And that other could convince the man with womanly wiles to be like, just break your promise. He didn't actually like say that you couldn't leave. Go eat the fruit.
You know how you really solve this is Frankenstein has to dress up like an undead woman and then just take it for the rest of his life.
God damn it, Sam. I knew that you were going to do this. Like, don't tell me to make a decision. I'm not on your panel.
See, so Gal and Critters, you guys didn't shred a tear when Hammond was getting eaten alive. You tell me you didn't shred one tear.
Fucking so.
You know,
poetic.
It's complex. It's complex because part of me wanted a fully realized Jurassic Park, and like Hammond, he had good intentions, but he got in the way of himself, and he caused all those failures. So like. It's him personally, yeah. I'm glad he got what he deserved, but like at the same time, like when he died, the dream of the park died as well.
I mean that's a brutal way to go out, though. I mean that's
not as bad as Nedry. Nedry's was also poetic justice, though.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
Nedry got to see his own intestines before he went. Hammond just kind of like
that's nothing. That's I love that in the book. It's more brutal in the book. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they do a show, it better
More.
be like mature on HBO.
Yes, I agree.
But yeah, Nedry definitely got what he deserved, and
Yeah.
Hammond, he just kind of was like, he kind of got drugged by their saliva, and he's like,
his was pseudo peaceful.
yeah, he kind of went out like he just
He's
kind of went to sleep.
He's getting bitten. That's not peaceful.
Yeah, but he couldn't feel it because the saliva numbs you.
Yeah, he was like it like
No,
and
You're
it-
eating alive. You're eating alive. It's still a terrible feeling.
yeah, but he
not
was
if you
like
can't feel it.
and it also made him not care. It like he just sat
reserved to
down
it.
and he's like, this is fine. I'll just go to sleep. It'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Well, maybe if we'll listen to him, he wouldn't be in that position.
Fafo.
Yep.
You guys are
But
cruel.
on that note,
Yeah.
I do think it is time to see what you guys are doing and end the stream. That's all I really have to say about it. So, Kratos, you have anything going on?
Tomorrow, movie night with True Pop. Probably moving back to Wednesdays after this because I moved them to Thursdays so it didn't overlap at the beginning of your stream.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, probably starting next week they'll be on Wednesdays again, 6 o'clock and
Central.
yeah, 6 o'clock Central. 6 p.m. Central. But I might even want to move it earlier because True Pop keeps like getting too tired. It's midnight for him.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So
He's like the opposite of Cloud. Cloud wants to keep moving it later.
yeah. But yeah, I don't know what we're watching yet. Probably Old Boy, which I think is a South Korean movie. And yeah, what else from there? Saturday, and then I'll have to send you poll request for Cloud's movie on Sunday.
Okay.
Because I think we're back to just letting the audience decide. So
And you do
that's
those on the Fellowship every time, right?
yeah, that's on Fellowship Discord.
Yeah.
If you're not on that, just message me on Twitter and I'll send you the link.
Yeah. Dom, how about you?
I'm Dom H. You can follow me. My Twitter link right there. I don't know if
Both their Twitter links are below, by the
I don't know if
way.
you want to follow me, but if you don't, whatever. But anyway, yeah.
I'll go
Do
follow
you do anything on YouTube, Dom?
Yes, I'm on a show called Bloodbath on Mondays at 9 o'clock Eastern with a fellow named Static.
Static
Yeah.
2020.
Yes, we do. Yeah, we go over politics and stuff like that. It's getting frustrating in that type of world. Bunch of stuff not going the way we thought, but that's politics, I guess. But yeah,
It is
I'm
what
on
it is.
that every Monday, and then on Saturdays. Well, I'm in this chat right here on Gal Stream, and I pop in always the Let It Simmer streams. So you can always expect me here when we're discussing a book.
Yep.
And Saturday I'm always like gaming with the guys, and whether it's Jeremy's channel, Adam's channel, or Horny Elf's channel, one of them, I don't know. I'm always there Saturday. Called Saturday Chatterday.
Yep.
Other than that,
Cool.
that's
Well, I should be getting the next book here on Saturday. So a week from today, we'll start our mystery adventure for Cooking the Books. And we're doing Sherlock Holmes, which is A Study in Scarlet for the first.
Nice.
mystery.
Yeah. I don't think we've done a mystery.
No, yeah, I've been. I kind of asked you. I'm like, yeah, we need to do a mystery. So those are my favorite movies, kind of.
Yeah.
The
But
question
yeah,
is,
so
when you watch
go
the
ahead.
movie, which one are you going to watch?
well, so we don't always necessarily have
I
to
didn't
watch
know it was a
everything,
movie.
but
I mean, the Robert Downey Jr. one. It's a good choice.
yeah, that'll be a discussion for later. Maybe I'll put it to a poll. Which one do you want us to compare it to?
Oh, is Devil's Stream coming up soon?
His Make Me a Sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah, that starts in probably like 5 minutes or so. But
I have a sorry, the Sherlock Holmes thing reminded me of a gift that I sent him for his show. So
Gotcha.
probably go catch that.
Oh, Sam is demanding that he gets to pick it.
That's kind of ballsy, Sam.
I'll take it into consideration, sir.
Well, it's definitely fun coming on and discussing this. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Cal, for bringing me on again.
Everything, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah. So everybody have a good night, and we'll see you next week.